The White House says a framework agreement to end the war in Iran has been secured. Iranian officials confirmed that late Sunday. President Trump says the Strait of Hormuz will open Friday and the U.S. is ending its naval blockade. Face the Nation Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth told our Margaret Brennan the U.S. will make sure the military option remains.
Our military posture will be whatever it needs to be to ensure they're compelled over this 60 days through the memorandum of understanding that they live up to what they said President Trump led with military might. That military might will stay as long as necessary.
And President Trump heads to the French Alps today to meet with world leaders for the warm G7 summit. It is an opportunity for leaders of the world's 7 largest democracies to gather every year to discuss issues of importance. Later today, Mr. Trump is expected to meet with French President Emmanuel Macron. CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes is in Geneva covering this summit, enjoying the warm temperatures. Nancy, good morning. Before we get to what's happening where you are, tell us about this newly announced framework memo with Iran.
Well, there are some major things that this memorandum of understanding does not do, Errol. Chiefly, it does not address the nuts and bolts of Iran's nuclear program. That gets left to an upcoming round of negotiations. It does ensure that the fighting between the U.S. and Iran stop. It does bring an end to the U.S. blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. But the text of this agreement still has not been released, which is leading to some confusion about what else this understanding does.
The deal came together just hours before President Trump boarded Air Force One bound for the G7 summit. The agreement, the Iranians say, ends all military operations on all fronts, including Lebanon, immediately and permanently. Trump posted that the Strait of Hormuz, the transitway for 20% of the world's oil, will open upon the signing of the deal on Friday. But an Iranian news agency with government ties claimed that Iran would actually have 30 days to demine and reopen the strait. Senator Lindsey Graham, a Trump ally, said he was somewhat concerned that Iran's view of the agreement seems different than what the American negotiating team is claiming. For instance, Iranian outlets reported the agreement allows for the immediate unfreezing of $13 billion in frozen Iranian assets. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth disputed that on Face the Nation.
It's performance-based. No money released to Iran until they perform.
The agreement provides 60 days for negotiations over Iran's nuclear program. Trump told the New York Times if those talks prove unsuccessful, he will restart military attacks on Tehran or make the U.S. the guardian of the Middle East in exchange for 20% of the region's revenues. Here in Europe, Trump will meet with the leaders of the UK, Germany, France, and Italy, whose economies have seen a slowdown due to the spike in oil prices. On the eve of the G7 summit, protesters took to the streets in Geneva. Demonstrators told us they're here to protest fascism, imperialism, and Trump himself.
He do a lot of things that's not good for the world.
U.S. and Iranian officials are expected to meet here in Switzerland on Friday for a signing ceremony, and Vice President Vance says he anticipates being here over the next couple of days. The focus of this G7 summit is going to be on how European leaders can help to get commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz moving again as quickly as possible, because that is going to be key, Errol, to bringing oil prices back down.
Yeah, indeed. Nancy Cordes in Geneva. Nancy, thank you. We jump now to CBS News Middle East contributor Courtney Kealy for more on this U.S. Iran framework agreement. Courtney, good morning. Speaking to CBS News over the weekend, former President Barack Obama weighed in on what is known. Let's listen to that.
It is doubtful that any agreement that arises is going to be significantly different or a significant improvement from the deal that we had in the first place.
And as we've said, we haven't seen the text yet, but how might this framework compare to the 2015 agreement reached under President Obama? What might the U.S. get now it didn't have before the war?
Well, right now it's a bilateral agreement, not a multilateral agreement. So the U.S. was not just the only country involved. Under the JCPOA, it was the U.S., the U.K., France, Germany, China, and Russia, and the European Union. And there was oversight by the UN watchdog group, the IAEA. So they did inspections and they did monitor this. Right now, it's a deal to start negotiations, to continue a ceasefire, at least really keep the ceasefire, establish it better than it's established before, cessation of hostilities. So it's a negotiation to stop a war. It's not a negotiation to halt a nuclear program only. What it is going to do, maybe, will it address the Iranian ballistic missiles, which was not addressed under Obama's plan in the JCPOA? Will it address the Hezbollah and the Houthis and Hamas, the proxies that Iran is still trying to get rid of and eradicate from the region? So we do know that the Iranians did give that statement, the foreign minister saying that this will include Lebanon, this will include Hezbollah. But we have to wait and see. Friday is a long way away before this signing, and it's a signing to agree to negotiate within 60 days.
And in our last few seconds, Courtney, what has Israel said about all this?
Well, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has not given a green light or a nod of approval at all to this. We know the Defense Minister, Israel Katz, says that Israel has, maintains its ability to continue its own security and operations in Syria, Lebanon, and in Gaza.
All right, Courtney Kealy with context for us on this framework. Thank you, Courtney.